it's basically a very simple setup, very professionally lit and set, very plain black and white, black background, plain table, and a girl seated at the table with a book. She introduces herself to the camera and says which book she'll be reading from today, and then she begins reading it.
Hello, my name is Teresa, and I will be reading Sexing the Cherry by Jeanette Winterson.
Under the table, there is an assistant of mine who's been instructed with a high-powered back massager to distract her, and through the course of the piece, we see the struggle that the sitter experiences while she tries to maintain composure and continue reading the text that she's chosen while she's being distracted by the table, and then the piece culminates or ends with whenever she just gives up on the book and allows her body to be what it's going to be.
We were all pleased to see the elephant, a huge beast with a wandering nose. Its trick was to sit itself in a seat like any well-bred gentleman and wear an eyeglass. There was a seat on its
I like the
side,
idea of the contrast between high and low culture,
and I heard a voice compare me to a mountain range.
Quasi-pornographic nature of a public orgasm mixed with that of like the most high-minded of our pursuits, like a literary reading. So I like the idea that that contrast can be displayed while these other things are also happening with these other elements.
Excuse me. There was a roar from round me. I opened my eyes and looked toward Samson. He had vanished. His chair swung empty like a summer house seat. His eyeglass lay in the bottom. I looked higher, following the gaze of the people. Far above us, far, far away, like a black star in a white sky, was Samson. It is a responsibility for a woman to have forced an elephant into the sky. What it says in my size,
the fact that it literally happened under the table, like in this kind of shameful, hidden setting, I kind of like the notion of that through the winking kind of, making fun of that kind of judgment we have about homosexuality. And then the title, Hysterical Literature, just references that historical time period, Victorian times, when the female orgasm was considered so malevolent and shameful that we had to actually provide medical excuses for it. So the fact that they're published online and that online is the place where they're supposed to live is, I think, really just a testament to the power and reach that online distribution can have for art when it's made with the intention of living that way. I think that the way that the pieces are experienced and commented on when they're online is kind of the same duality that happens in the piece. So the piece has the mind-body contrast happening, this kind of a high-minded approach to the literature mixed with this very primal, orgasmic experience. I think that the division also happens in how people approach it online. There's a big contingent of people who love the intellectual aspect of it and that contrast, and then write a lot about how that informed the other. And then there's a giant contingent of people who were just there to see pretty girls
with slant eyes and a nose to hang a hat on. This Crane's bill was telling me that the king was wrong to make war on his own people, and I was telling him that if the foul-mouthed Scots hadn't started their jiggery-pokery again, always wanting to fight with someone, we'd have no war. We'd lived with a king and without a parliament for 11 years, and now we got a parliament and a precious little of a king. As far as I know it, and I have only a little learning, the king had been forced to call a parliament to grant him money for his war against the kilted beasts and their savage ways. Savage to the core, and the poor king trying only to make them use a proper prayer book. They wouldn't have this prayer book, and the most unchristian manner threatened his throne. The king, turning to his own people, found himself with a parliament full of Puritans who wouldn't grant him money until he had granted them reform. Not content with the Church of England that good King Henry had bequeathed us all, they wanted what they called a Church of God. They said that the king was a wanton spendthrift, that the bishops were corrupt, that our Book of Common Prayer was full of popish ways, and that the Queen herself, being French, was bound to be full of popish ways. Oh, they hated everything that was grand and fine and full of life, and they went about in their flat gray suits with their flat gray faces poking out the top. The only thing fancy about them was their handkerchiefs, which they liked to be trimmed with lace and kept as white as they reckoned their souls to be. I've seen Puritans going past a theater, where all was merriment and pleasure, and holding their starched linen to their noses for fear they might smell pleasure and be infected by it. It didn't take them long to close down every theater in London once they got a bit of power. But didn't our Savior turn the water into wine? Our own minister of God soon turned Puritan and started denouncing the king from his pulpit. Preacher Scoggs, I said, one morning after he had delivered his sermon on the text, and the memory of the wicked shall rot. Do you not know that our king is so by divine right? He fixed me with the better of his two squint eyes and clasped his hands together. Look to the heavenly king, lady, he said. There is no earthly power but Satan. Hi, my name is Teresa, and I was reading Sexing the Cherry by Jeanette Winterson.